Dead silence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a statement to issue as NASA, and the statement is entitled Uhuru Enjoying Proceeds of Crime. Ever since the Supreme Court declared Uhuru Kenyatta's so-called victory in the August poll as invalid, null and void, Uhuru has been on an ill-informed and extremely unfortunate path with Kenya. Election. Of judges all and sided with those calling for the sacking of judges. Uhuru has personally promised to fix the judiciary because, in his view, there is a problem there. The problem he's referring to is the fact that the court noticed the fraud in his so-called win and declared it invalid, null and void. Uhuru has since gone berserk. Like a cornered, bloody-minded boxer, he's swaying on his feet, rocking the country and its institutions with a sudden flurry of desperate punches, with the judiciary as his prime target and the fear of facing opponents in free and fair contest his main reason for the rage. All of these moves is that Uhuru Kenyatta is determined to hang on to his tarnished presidential title for as long as he can, no matter the cost and the consequences for the nation. We have watched Uhuru perform these acts for some time now and remain silent in the hope that he will sober up, mature and see the need to stop. His help. The signs are clear. Uhuru is putting Kenya on the same path that Yahya Jammeh put Gambia, Laurent Gbagbo put Ivory Coast, Blaise Compaoré put Burkina Faso. He is seeking to cling to power by touting fake number obtained through fraud and forgeries and a non-existent people's mandate. If Uhuru stop, if he will not respect the Constitution and particularly the independent judiciary that Kenyans fought so hard to bring to fruition, Kenyans are prepared to stop him. A president cannot be a product of forgery and fraud. It should be in Uhuru's interest to support free, fair and credible elections to remove the cloud of illegitimacy that hangs over his leadership. The audit ordered by the Supreme Court disclosed problems with the results. The problems ranged from forms lacking watermark security features to no serial numbers, photocopies being used instead of originals, and forms not signed by all agents as required by law. The fraudulent forms were used to award Uhuru votes. Uhuru and Ruto call these anomalies as mere processes. The truth is that these anomalies had the net effect of having up to man who believes in free, fair, credible and transparent elections. Uhuru must clear his name of the web of deceit, criminalities and irregularities hanging over him. Has Uhuru cared to ask the whereabouts of the prescribed forms that were meant for the constituencies where forgeries and photocopies of election documents were used? Were these forms thrown away just to help Uhuru make a fraudulent claim to victory? Does it bother Uhuru that laws and procedures were twisted to help him arrive at a victory that never was? Does it prick his conscience? What kind of a president would not care that the electoral body, whose fraudulent declaration is hanging on to, refused to obey the orders of the highest court in the land to open its servers for scrutiny to confirm the so-called victory? Does it bother Uhuru Kenyatta that his agent at the Bomas of Kenya National Tallying Center logged into the IEBC servers using a personal email account, dkchirchir@gmail.com, contrary to the IEBC's own ICT user policy? As he threatens and insults the judges, has Uhuru Kenyatta ever cared to ask Davis Chirchir, his agent at the Bomas, why he logged into the IEBC servers? Does it bother Uhuru Kenyatta that the accounts of one W. Chebukati at ibc.or.ke, which was supposed to have read-only privileges on the system, was used to delete files from 34A and B from the IB server to give him the so-called victory, and that was used nearly 10,000 times? Does it bother Uhuru Kenyatta that Mr. Chris Musandu had to be killed for the so-called victory to be delivered, and that his government declined offer of help in the so-called investigations into assassination? In all his ranting, rage and fury, Uhuru has never addressed the question of illegalities and irregularities that the courts found the IEBC to have committed. That silence can only mean that the irregularities and the illegalities were designed and committed to benefit him, and they did. Uhuru has never seen the need to speak on the need for free, fair and credible elections. He wants Kenyans to proceed to another fraudulent election as long as it is designed to give him victory. Uhuru Kenyatta wants the ballot boxes to be opened as argued by judges he briefed on what to write. But he has never seen the need to press the IEBC to open its servers as had been decreed by the courts. Uhuru wants the ballot boxes, not the servers, opened because the ballot boxes guarantee a confirmation of his fraudulent win. The boxes guarantee his fraudulent win because they are stuffed with the 2 million extra ballot papers that were printed by Al Ghurair and whose whereabouts have never been explained. Talking of the ruling by the so-called dissenting judges, we challenge Uhuru Kenyatta to deny that one of the dissenting judges spent all Saturday at State House at his invitation in a celebration of the dissenting ruling ahead of its delivery. Uhuru must know that the Supreme Court is busy denigrating is the product of a constitution that Kenyans paid for with their lives. Uhuru's contribution to that constitution and that struggle is zero. He must stop imagining that the Constitution and the institutions that came with it were merely meant to coronate him to the presidency and sanitize his fraud. NASA will stand with every institution that is discharging legitimate mandates and with all state officers, including judges, who are performing their duties without fear or favor and in line with the Constitution. All along, Uhuru has stood for nothing in Kenya except for himself, family, and close friends in disorienting our country. He is now becoming a disaster-prone, tragic character, lashing from one fit of bad temper to the next just because he thinks the presidency is his birthright. We want to remind Uhuru that this country has traveled so far to turn back. Uhuru Kenyatta has been caught in the act of a product of a crime and is enjoying proceeds of crime. NASA remains ready for a contest with Uhuru, but only when the irreducible minimums we have put out are met. With every passing day, it is getting clear that the conditions will not be met, and so there will be no elections. We will not allow Uhuru to take the country down the path of failed nations. End of statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Huh? Huh? Huh?
That was said by Otimofo. The 26th was given by Otimofo.
The 26th date was given by O.T. Mofo, Sapra Mofo company, which we want out of this game. Okay? And I think in its consultations, because it also happens to be Uhuru Kenyatta's birthday, so they want to give him a birthday present.
Actually, more importantly, the need to consult
Mm-hmm.
even over the date. Consultations.
First, the issue of the date need to be agreed on by consultation by all stakeholders. The IBC has not started with any of us to consult on appropriate date. The other time, remember, they had said that 24th, which you had proposed, was inconvenient because of the examinations. Now, without further consultations, they are going to 26th.
2 days away.
2 days away. And that again is arbitrary without any form of consultations. With regard to what the AG said, I would want to ask Moses to respond.
The Attorney General is evidently being his master's voice. What he's saying clearly shows how he is misreading
kusema ati mahakama imefanya mapinduzi kwa kufutilia mbali ushindi wa bandia yako. Hiyo sio mapinduzi. Mahakama imebatilisha mapinduzi ambayo yalifanyika na imefanyiwa na shirika ya uchaguzi, yani halmashauri ya uchaguzi ambaye ilikupatia wewe ushindi bandia. Kwa hivyo mahakama imefanya kazi yao kulingana na mujibu wa sheria na kikatiba. Wewe kama rais mpaka uheshimu yale. Usipofanya hiyo, nchi ya Kenya itaweza kuharibika. Tumeona dalili na ishara ya kwamba Bwana Uhuru Kenyatta anataka kupeleka Kenya kwa njia ambayo Bwana Jammeh alileta nchi ya Gambia. Yule Bwana Bagbo ilipeleka nchi ya Cote d'Ivoire. Au yule Blaise Compaoré ilipeleka taifa ya Burkina Faso. Na kama Wakenya mpaka tumzuie asifanye hali yale. Tunataka kuona kama Kenya imetawaliwa kwa mujibu wa sheria na katiba wetu. Kama wananasa na akitumia sahihi yake na akabatilisha matokeo ya uchaguzi huko ndani. Kuna watu wengine vile vile ni wezi, wakatumia sahihi ya Bwana Chebukati bila idhini yake na bila yeye kujua, na kubadilisha matokeo ya 10,000, yani kutoka kwa ile mafomu 34 A na B, yale yote. Na madhumuni ilikuwa ni kubadilisha, kuzidisha kura ya Uhuru na kupunguza kura zetu. Kwa hivyo yale ambayo yalifanyika yalikuwa ni chafu sana. Wanaongea juu ya idadi ya kura, atiangalie hesabu bado haijaguzwa. Yale hesabu yalikuwa ni hesabu ya wizi. Kwa hivyo mahakama ya kuu ilikuwa haina sababu ya kuangalia hiyo hesabu. Manake yalikuwa tayari wamesharidhika ya kwamba kutishwa na kubwekwa kwa wale ambao wanafanya kama first the IBC postponed the meeting that was supposed to have taken place today. But as you know, we wrote to them in which we had given them our reducible minimums and we wanted them to respond to. And as far as I'm concerned, we have never received a proper response to that letter. As soon as we receive it, we will of course make it public. We have not lately had meetings with Western diplomats. We've been consulting, we've met with observer missions around the country, we met with EU, we've met with Qatar Foundation, we've met with the NDI and so on. We have talked also on phone with some of the diplomats. But as far as you're concerned right now, there's no formal consultations that have taken place between us and the IBC since the ruling was done.
I could also, by the way, on this matter of the dissenting judgment, that the dissenting judgment by two of the Supreme Court judges, some of us are officers of the court, and what I found completely unacceptable, even as we dig in for independence of the judiciary, is the decorum, even when it comes to writing dissenting opinions. It's very unusual for a judge of the Supreme Court to attack her colleagues directly. Sasa hayo mimi niliona ni magumu sana. And we should never politicize the work of the Supreme Court. I think all of us have to be beholden to that view. So if you listened, and I listened carefully, we, of course, very lengthy dissenting opinion, and that is the right of any judge to do.